I'm going to start working on the fuselage. On the maiden flight I'm going to be using a 1300 milliamp battery just purely because of weight, just to see if it will fly properly. So I've got to bear that in mind. And then I'm also going to be using a 5000 milliamp 4S battery. As long as the maiden goes okay, I'm going to switch to that one. So I've got to make the fuselage big enough for that to fit. Now, as I've already mentioned, the good thing about building Depron planes is you build it to suit yourself. You go out and you buy a My Fly Dream or whatever else, no, My Twin Dream, that was the one. If you go and buy one, you're stuck with whatever they give you. So I'm going to make the fuselage that wide, so this can sit flat on the base. Obviously I've got to bear in mind that this piece here is going to be jutting out a bit, so I'm going to make the fuselage that big. This is the fuselage, because it looks like a fuselage, doesn't it? So what I've done is I've got this battery, because this is what I'm going to be using after my initial flight test, and I'm going to make it the widest part possible, so that battery will fit in there like that. And then obviously I'll have two rails on the sides there. So what I've done is I've marked it, I've got this to the width, it's 65mm I think it is. I'm actually doing a combination of millimetres and inches on this one, so I'm confused. So I've done that, and then it's going to taper off to the back, I think, I don't know yet. Autopilot can go there. Now I don't know whether I'm going to have like a wall there and then another one. I think I might do that for strengthening, have it double skinned. Yeah, because I think Wayne's is about 3 inches wide, which would make that round about 3 inches wide there. So I think I'll do that, I'll have it double skinned, and then I can, you know, roll the edges over a bit. Oh, incidentally, if your knife isn't sharp, that's what happens with Depron. It goes really rough, excuse me. So I'm going to do that like that. Yeah. I've been trying to figure out this layout. Obviously the battery I've made so as the battery can actually go forwards and backwards quite a hell of, actually that much. So there's plenty of play in that one. I was thinking about using the Runcam Eagle, but looking at the latency on this Firefly Q6, I think it's about 10 milliseconds, which the video out, I mean, which isn't going to cause any problems whatsoever. So I think I'm just going to be using that to record and obviously video out, which will make it a lot better. I can actually slim that off, just point it in on the nose. Obviously I need to lay that back a bit just to protect it a bit. So I think I'll do that. I've got a rough layout of the fuselage. Actually it's not a rough layout, this is how it's going to be. Okay, so batteries, I've made a compartment so as the battery can slide between these two lines here for centre of gravity. As I've already said, I'm going to be maiden in it, possibly one of these, which is a 1400, so that'll probably have to go further forward. It might have to go up there, I don't know yet. The autopilot's going to go about there, somewhere in that compartment. I haven't got a clue. So what I've done, this is going to be obviously the front edge. That is 5.5 inches, or 140mm, and then I put a curve, and then that piece is perfectly parallel, these two lines here, and then it tapers off to what size is that? That's 40mm wide on the edge, on the back edge there, and that's 10.5 or 10.5ish, 10 3/4 inches. Now the other thing I've had to do is I put a step on the back there, which goes, the KF2 goes along here, So that goes over the KF2, and on the back that's going to be the motor mount, which I've measured it, and it's near enough perfect. So that's that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm putting another skin over this, because if this thing comes in for a landing and it cartwheels, it's not going to be able to stop that battery from flying out. So that's lovely and tight in there. That's what she said. So I'm going to put another skin around the side there. I might put two, I don't know, and then shave it off, shape it, just to reinforce it. Maybe one's enough. Maybe two's enough. Don't know yet. I'll see what it looks like with just one. Oh, this thing is so ridiculously light anyway, you know, putting another skin on isn't going to hurt anyway. So I'm going to put a skin on, and then I'll come back. I've decided I'm having 3 skins, I suppose you call it, on the sides. It makes it much smoother, streamlined. There's no, you know, big juts in the moulding sort of thing. This bit here is going to be part of the canopy, so I've cut that out. The canopy obviously is going to fit full size on there. The camera's going on the front on this platform here. Now, the other thing I've done is I've cut this out purely because I want to get the battery as close to the centre of gravity as possible, so that's going to sit in there and actually on top of the wing, and then the canopy will sit recessed into there, sort of like that, and this bit on the back, that's going to be solid, just covered. That's going to be solid and covered for the camera to go on, and then the canopy, you'll lift it up like that, I think, anyway. I haven't decided yet. This makes it much more rigid, having these three layers on here, because I've noticed that the front of the plane is actually quite flexible, but this should take it all out. I may actually put a carbon spar across there yet, embedded in the wing, I don't know, to stop the nose from flapping. So there's that. So what I'm going to do is cut the canopy out now. Got to be quick, the glue's going off. This is going to be the part of the canopy. Now I'm going to shape this so it's not that important, but that's going to go basically like that, you know, on there. So what I've done is I've got my insert here, which I've laid in there, but I've put it so as it's proud of the fuselage, but lay it in place that way. And then I've got this piece, oh, that's in the right place, and I've got this piece, and I've lined it up with the front, and I've laid it down like that, squeeze it on the ends, and there you go. So that's the going to be the insert, so is it all, you know, bit of a recess. So now I've got to leave that, let that go off, and then I can carry on. I'm going to do another layer. In fact, I might do 2 layers so as I can chamfer the top, you know what I mean? Keep saying, you know what I mean? Well, you don't. So there you go, there's that bit. So I'm just going to get some weight on that now. Get some more weight on it and let it go off. As you've already seen, I put 3 skins on there. That's quite rigid now. I've done the top, which has got a recess to sit in, and that's also double skinned. And that goes on there, like that. And then this piece here, which is still drying, this piece goes on the back, which I'm going to be gluing that in place, because it's going to form part of the firewall on the back for rigidity. So that's going to be glued into place there. Now what I'm going to do after this is shape it, and so I'm going to cut all the sides at 45 degree and then shave it, shape it round so as it's nice and trimmed. Oh, incidentally, I don't know if I've mentioned it, I put a carbon spar in there. You can just about see the carbon spar on there. That makes that quite solid. So that's that done. So what I've got to do now is glue that back piece on, figure some way of attaching the canopy, and then I'll start shaping it, which is where the mess starts. I've got the fuselage box made basically. It's all ready for shaping now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I think I've mentioned this before, start off with a 45 degree angle straight down here. The nose has got to be shaved off as well, and also down to a more of a pointy sort of thing, so, and obviously that comes off, and I've got to figure out a way of actually making that so as it just snaps shut. Don't know, with magnets or clips, I don't know yet. So that's all done, so I'm going to start shaving it. Now this has taken quite a while to actually make it up, so if I get it wrong I ain't going to be happy. I've roughly shaped one of the sides. It is still quite rough, but that's basically going to be the shape of it. So now I've got to try and match the other side up to it, you know what I mean? The good thing about Depron is you can actually sand it after, so it's not going to be any problem at all. So that's one side. Now I'm going to do the other. I've cut the other off, shaped it roughly, and I've started shaping the nose. All I use is just a sanding sponge basically, and just, shape it. You know what I mean? Oh, stop saying that, Tony. So I've got all this big area to do now, which isn't going to be very easy, but it's got to be done. So I'm just going to get the sanding sponge and just keep going up and down like that, and just add to the mess that's all over the floor, and then clean it all up. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'll come back and show you the finished, well, semi sort of finished product. I've sanded it down to, it's getting this nice shape to it. If I can get the canopy off, so you can see it's still open, and there's that bit there. It's looking alright actually. There's still a few rough bits that I've got to do, and there are still a few pieces that can't be done. When the nose is all shaped, that's all shaped, but there's things like that, there's a gap there that it's annoying, but I'm not going to be able to get rid of that. The motor mount, which is going to go on the back, which I don't know what shape to do yet. I'm going to 3D print a motor mount to go on there. So there you go. I'm just going to get some finer sandpaper on here, just to clean it all up, and I think it's near enough done then. There's a few places where you can see it's not even. I've got to finish. The way to do this is if you get it in the light like that and you keep turning it, you can see where the rough patches are. So all you do then is just get your sanding sponge and just run it across, and it levels them out eventually. Like that. That's the fuselage finished. It ain't perfect, you'll never get it perfect. That goes on there. Just a tip, after you've finished sanding it down, wipe it down with some isopropyl alcohol. It does get rid of all the bumps on the where the glues come through. So that's that. There's the main part. So the flight controller is going to go there. That's for the battery, which is going to sit on top of the wing. The front piece is for the camera. So that's going to sit on there. And job's a good one. So I think that's enough for part 2. I think on part 3 I'm going to start covering it, or covering this bit anyway. That'll be interesting. One last thing before I cover it. I've got black, red or purple. Purple. I've been wanting to use this purple because it's like a semi sort of metallic. It's brilliant looking anyway. But it does look pink. Don't know. Red, normal flat red, normal flat black. That's not iron on, that's self-adhesive stuff. I have actually got some normal. So anyway, which one? Black, red or purple? You decide. So I've finished doing the wing. I'm going to start working on the fuselage. Now to start with, on a maiden flight, although I'm needing bloody hell. I've finished doing the top part of the fuselage. Bollocks. Flight controller's going to go there, battery's going to go there, there's plenty of space for manoeuvring. So that'll be sort of in there.